Form B of the pre-inspection.
I will begin Form B with my mirror bracket. My mirror bracket is securely mounted, it is not cracked, broken, and damaged, and all nuts and bolts are present. Next is my door handle. My door handle opens and closes my door properly. It is not cracked, it's not broken, all proper hardware is present. Next is my door hinges. They're securely mounted with all nuts and bolts present. They are not cracked, broken, or damaged. Next is my door seal. My door seal is not weathered, cut, or frayed. Next is my steps and catwalk. My steps and catwalk are securely mounted with all nuts and bolts present. They are not cracked or broken, no contaminants like oil or grease. Next is my fuel tank. My fuel tank is securely mounted, not cracked, not broken, no holes, securely mounted by the strap with all nuts and bolts present, and the rubber between is present. Cap is tight. I see no leaks. Next is my DEF tank. My DEF tank is securely mounted with all nuts and bolts present. It is not cracked, broken, no holes. I see no leaks. The cap is on tight. Proper hardware is present, no damage. Next is my air tanks. My air tanks are securely mounted with all nuts and bolts present. They are not cracked, broken. I hear no leaks. The air lines coming in and out of my tanks have no abrasion, bubbles, or cuts, securely mounted with the proper fittings. These tanks should be drained after every work shift. Next, I'm going to go into my battery box. My battery box is securely mounted with all nuts and bolts present. It is not cracked, broken. Batteries and sides are not corroded, and there's no cut or exposed wire on the electrical. I'm moving on to my frame and my cross members. My frame and cross members are securely mounted, not cracked, broken, or damaged. All nuts and bolts are present. There's no illegal welds on my frame. My drive shaft is securely mounted by the U-joint. All nuts and bolts are present. They're properly greased. There's no trash or debris wrapped around my drive shaft, and it is not cracked, bent, or twisted. My exhaust is securely mounted with all nuts and bolts and clamps present. It is not cracked, broken, or damaged. It is free from any holes. I see no soot, and I see no leaks. My splash guard and mud flap are securely mounted with all nuts and bolts present. They are not cracked, torn, or damaged, and have sufficient space between the tire and the ground.
Moving on to my leaf spring hangers here. They're mounted to my vehicle with all nuts and bolts present. It is not cracked, it's not broken, it is not damaged. My leaf springs, they're not cracked, not broken, not damaged. They are not shifting or scissoring. There are no leaf springs missing. They're held down properly to my axle by these U-bolts. My U-bolts are securely mounted to the vehicle with all nuts and bolts present. They are not cracked, broken, or damaged. Bolts underneath have no silver lining or rust, indicate signs that they are loose. Moving on to my shock absorber. It is securely mounted with all proper nuts and bolts present. It is not cracked, broken, or damaged, and I see no leaks coming out of my shock absorber. Moving on to my airbag. My airbag is securely mounted by the mount with all proper nuts and bolts present. It is not cracked, broken, or damaged. The airbag itself has no abrasion, bubbles, or cuts, and I hear no leaks coming out the airbag. Moving on to my braking system, I'm going to start with my brake lines. My brake lines here are securely mounted with the proper fittings. There's no abrasion, bubbles, or cuts. I hear no leaks. Moving on to my brake chamber here. My brake chamber is securely mounted to the vehicle with all proper nuts and bolts present. It is not cracked, broken, or damaged. I hear no leaks. It is also held down by the proper seat clamp here. The seat clamp itself is not cracked, broken, or damaged, and it has proper nut and bolt present. Right behind it, I have my slack adjuster and push rod. My slack adjuster and push rod are securely mounted with all nuts and bolts present. They are not cracked, broken, or damaged. Properly greased. Cotter pin is present, and the slack adjuster and push rod should not have more than 1 inch of play when pulled by hand and the brakes are released. My brake drum is securely mounted to the vehicle. It is not cracked, broken, or damaged, and there's no contaminants such as oil or grease on my brake drum. Inside my brake drum is my brake shoe. My brake shoe is securely mounted to the vehicle with all proper hardware. It is not cracked, broken, damaged. Brake shoes should not be worn dangerously thin, no less than 1/4 inch thickness on the brake shoe, also free from contaminants such as oil or grease. Moving on into my tires. My tires have the proper spacing in between of no less than 4 inches. No trash, no debris in between. But my tires are securely mounted to the vehicle. They are evenly worn. There's no abrasion, bubbles, or cuts. I see no nails. Thread on these tires should be no less than 2/32 when checked with the tire thread gauge. And tire pressure should be at manufacturer standards when checked via valve stem with a tire pressure gauge. My valve stem itself is securely mounted to the vehicle. It is not cracked, broken, or damaged. Has a proper hardware holding it. I hear no leaks and the cap is on and on tight. I'm gonna move into my rim. My rim is securely mounted to the vehicle via lug nuts, but the rim has no cracks, no bends, no damage, and there's no illegal welds on the rim. The lug nuts themselves are securely mounted to the vehicle. They are not cracked, broken, or damaged, and there's no lug nuts missing. I see no major rust or silver lining to indicate signs that these are coming loose.
Moving on to my axle seal. It is securely mounted with all nuts and bolts present. It is not cracked, broken, or damaged. The fluid is filled to the proper level, and I see no leaks.
Moving out to my lights here. My lights are securely mounted to my vehicle with all proper hardware. As you can see, all screws present. It is not cracked, broken, or damaged. I have my reverse light, which is clear in color. I have my brake, turn signal, and four-way flashers. They are red in color. These lights will be tested later. My electrical wires to my lights are securely mounted with the proper fittings. They're not cracked or damaged, and I see no cut or exposed wire on the electrical. That would conclude Form B of the pre-inspection.